you have a bunch of haters. You have like haters, bruv, like next level, yeah? How do you deal with the haters?
So if you want to talk about what was happening in Medina, I categorized the people into three, right? Well, I categorized the people into three. You have those who might have been a lot more senior than myself in Magister, doing their masters or even their PhDs. They would come to me and say, Akhi, Jazakallah khair. They would show appreciation and thanks to the work that we were involved in, right? At the end of the day, when you think about it, right, the one, my brothers and my sisters, who really cares about Islam prospering, like wherever the da'wah or the ilm comes from, yani he's going to be happy and satisfied about it, right? It doesn't always have to come from his tongue. In fact, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned this from the signs of sincerity. Whether it comes from Sheikh Farhan or it comes from Sheikh Ihsan or whoever else it might be, he's happy that it's coming from somewhere. You don't always have to be the first person that utters it. Does that make sense? So I would actually feel this from some of the seniors. And perhaps my brothers and sisters, this shows the... Huh? Is that Sheikh Khalid? Oh, Sheikh Khalid, man. Allah Jazakallah khair. Sheikh Khalid, man, Habibi.
MashaAllah. That's a special gift. MashaAllah, tabarakallah.
Oh, Allah, I love Sheikh Khalid, man.
What's the tea for you, Sheikh?
Sheikh, I've been crying out for the last 4 days. I want to see you.
MashaAllah.
Right? Jazakallah khair. Allah yahfadak. Allah yabarak. Jazakallah khair. Sheikh
Khalid,
Khalid, for those who don't know him, is actually, doing his masters, I believe. He spent quite a bit of time in Kuwait.
MashaAllah.
Sheikh Farhan, Sheikh Khalid are from amongst the mashayikh here that the people can benefit from, inshallah ta'ala. So anyways, you had people like that.
So you had that's the first category, the older ones that were like pretty thankful to you. Right.
And subhanAllah, that's tawadu'.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they're about to graduate with PhDs and masters, and and it really touched me. It showed me that ilm is actually really affecting their limbs. You see what I'm saying, right? And then you had those on the completely different side of the spectrum, right, who disagree with me, and their reasonings are substantiated with because of X, Y, and Z. You see what I'm saying, right? You've basically gone against this, you've done this, and I really appreciated that. They would show me open enmity. Wallahi, I love them for the sake of Allah. Like, I mean, across the spectrum, you done X, Y, and Z, and because of it, I hate you. I give them salams, and they're not going to return the salams.
SubhanAllah.
I appreciated that.
No, but like, they were in your face. What they are is what they are.
Yeah, you basically get what you see, yani. Right? And I appreciate that. Why? He says, okay, he believes this, right? He's under the impression, not that it's right or anything, because it was an absolute batil. Why they were boycotting people. But I appreciate that it's coming from somewhere. Then you had those that, wallahi, I really struggled with. Honestly, really, really struggled with. And I don't think I've ever discussed this with you, right? Those who would come and laugh in my face, act like they're friends, and then behind my back, they're literally bickering, slandering, right, and ripping you to shreds. Like, why would you do that?
I've seen that.
Right?
I personally saw that. I saw.
Allah, me and him haven't even discussed. I don't know half the question you're going to ask me, right? Wallah, I didn't even know that you saw this or you felt this, but this is what I seen, and I really struggled with this. Like, you're laughing in my face, or you're going to institutions and organizations telling them don't bring Abu Taymiyyah and whatever have you, but then whenever you run into me, you talk to me as if we're best friends, yani. Right? And I really struggled with that. Wallahi, really hurt me, because some of those brothers were brothers that I really liked and respected, and then I'm hearing X, Y, and Z, and I'm just brushing it off, and then he just keeps repeating, you know. Akhi, let's have a conversation. We're طلاب العلم, right? Let's open up the books, right? Let's open up the books. We're students of knowledge. I love discussions, right? And anyways, you know, that was that. But if you're patient, right? And then later on, quite a few of them apologized. I'm talking about even those who used to show me open enmity. When certain mashayikh of theirs started clashing with one another, all of a sudden I'm walking through the university campus and everyone's giving me salams again. And I'm thinking to myself, Abu Taymiyyah, why have you changed? When in reality I didn't. It's in fact they changed and they realized their mistake and they were humble enough to admit so. And then of course you have those online and UK and whatever have you, mainly online. Allah, akhi, I make dua for these people. Sometimes I think to myself, and I don't mean this in a bad way, are they mentally challenged with the way they behave online, especially? Yani, it really doesn't add up. So I make dua for these individuals that Allah Azza wa Jal betters their mental state and perhaps gives them insight and betters their understanding of the religion. Like, I honestly, when people attack me and when they say negative things about myself, yani, I honestly try to assess it. I try to be as self-critical as I can as much as I can, yani, as much as possible. Because, we can't just dismiss every criticism that comes our way as hasad or as personal. He's got an issue with him, that's why he's doing that. We should try to assess it and perhaps maybe benefit from our enemies. We all want to be from those who the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam talked about, right? وَمَا تَوَاضَ أَحَدٌ لِلَّهِ إِلَّا رَفَعَهُ. Never does an individual humble himself except that Allah will raise him. And look what Ibn al-Qayyim says, right? Ibn al-Qayyim says, لا تصلح لك درجة التواضع حتى تقبل الحق ممن تحب وممن تبغض. Right? You will not be able to become a humble individual until you make it a habit to accept from those that you love and those that you hate. Right? So when the opponents, the detractors, the haters, you want to call them that, whenever they say something, I try to look at it. Does he have a point? But sometimes, wallah, I really struggle to see through it. Yeah. A lot of the time it's unverified information.
He said, she said.
Clear-cut lies, bad assumptions. A lot of the time it's ijtihadi related issues. Us attempting now to find the right answer. It's a grey area. It's not black and white. We're trying to get the right answer, best course of action, and then they're attacking you for it. Habibi, we're طلاب العلم. I'll say this again. Let's sit down. Wallahi, I don't believe I'm scared of anyone. And the reason why I say this, not because I'm trying to be arrogant or anything like that. Someone else may have the truth. Someone else may see something that I'm not seeing. And I'm happy to see that, right? Just convince me. Don't be running around saying, oh, I've advised Abu Taymiyyah, he didn't accept the advice, let's boycott him. Sometimes it's a back and forth. Like, how many discussions have me and you had? Do we see eye to everything? Of course not.
But wallahi, I love you.
Well, I love you too, man. I love you more than you love me. But the point is, we had our back and forths. You may have given advice and I've given advice back, but they were back and forth. They're discussions between students of knowledge. What sometimes they do is, they'll go and they'll tell people, oh, he's been advised, khalas. Habib, that's not sincerity. Let's have a discussion. Let's open up the books. Let's go back and forth. I love that. I honestly love that. And every talib ilm loves that. And you shouldn't be afraid. Why? Right? Because we're all trying to find the truth.
I feel like something that's missing in this conversation, whenever this is mentioned, the benefits and harms that a person has to make a judgment call on is going to be one assessment on one way, and you might have a different assessment. But I am not obliged to follow your assessment of masalih mafasid or khaf ad-dararain, the lesser of two evils. And I think this is where
Habib, hatta fatwa is not binding, let alone an advice that you gave. Sometimes you might come up to me and give me a piece of advice, and I say to you, jazakallah khair, right? Or I might decide to even have my 2 pence in the situation, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean I have to. 2 cents.
Not pence.
Oh, you guys are dollars, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Bucks, right? So, I don't have to take that. Or I might see that this advice is completely out of place. But jazakallah khair. Yeah. I accept it from you, but don't expect me
to take it on.
And you shouldn't give advice expecting for it to be acted upon. And this is muhimmun jiddan aydan. That questions your sincerity, right? But wallahi, this issue of hasad, as Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, I've come across even Ibn al-Arabi rahimahullah ta'ala, al-Maliki, like for example Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala one time said to his tullab, right, قال لطلابه اعلموا رحمكم الله, have knowledge. May Allah have mercy upon you, that أن الله عز وجل إذا منح شخصا من أهل العلم شيئا من العلم وحرمه قرناءه وأشكاله حسدوه. That if Allah blesses someone with knowledge that maybe his contemporaries and his classmates are deprived from, right? Allah chose not to give it to them. حسدوه. They begin to envy him. Right? فَرَمَوْهُ بِمَا لَيْسَ فِيهِ. And then they begin to accuse him of things that he's absolutely free from. Like Ibn al-Arabi, he says, إِذَا لَمْ يَجِدُوا لَهُ عُيُوبًا أَحْدَثُوا لَهُ عُيُوبًا. الناس إذا لم يجدوا له عيوبا, if they don't find anything that they can accuse him of, they look for things to accuse him of. Like sometimes, man, it's just, I struggle to see through this, honestly. It's like, akhi, call the Prophet. Have this engagement with him. Sometimes
before
they can get
calling them out on X, have a private reach out, at least bare minimum call out. But I feel
like even if they called me out, honestly, I don't have a problem. But you're calling out something that you understood in that particular manner.
Yeah, but even inkar al-munkar, if they understand that, it has to be something that is completely agreed upon.
Yeah.
Completely agreed upon. And if there's ikhtilaf on the issue, then khalas, it's not something that can be considered as munkar by default. Right? It
reminds me of what the poet mentioned. The poet says, وَكَمْ مِنْ عَائِبٍ قَوْلًا صَحِيحًا وَآفَتُهُ مِنَ الْفَهْمِ السَّقِيمِ. You see people criticizing, condemning certain things, right? But in reality, Habibi, it's actually true what the guy is saying, but you've misunderstood it. You've completely misunderstood it, right? According to your shallow, narrow-minded understanding of that. But I wish sometimes it could actually be ilmi, but it's based on your understanding that you're criticizing. Like, a lot of the time it's just personal, man. A lot of the time it's personal. Sometimes what happens is, let's just say me and you had a heated argument, which is bound to happen. The scholars of the past had heated arguments. Sahaba, sahih. But then
love after that.
You start going off on the guy and masking it as if it's like a deed related issue.
Allahumma sallim.
Sorry, I think we expanded on that a little bit too much.
No, I feel like I need to cool you down, Sheikh, so we'll go through some lighter questions, yeah? I don't want to hype you up too much. I got another lesson after this.